A lot of people want to take a cruise alone, but they're nervous about it. And after 34 cruises, here's what I'd like to tell you about being a solo cruiser. My name's Gary Dean, and I'm the Blue Hat Bucket List Traveler. I've done 34 cruises in 3.5 years, and this is what I'd like to tell you about being a solo cruiser. And solo cruising can be excellent if you understand how to do it right. A lot of people, when they find out I'm a solo cruiser, it really comes out what their fears are. Is it safe? Is it okay? Is there other solo cruisers? That's probably the biggest one, right? Are you going to be the only solo cruiser on the ship? Is it awkward at the dining? Does it cost more? Will I be lonely? They're not worried about the ship. They're worried about being alone. So the first thing I would say is picking the itinerary. If you've never gone solo before, you probably don't want to go on anything more than 7 days. Just try a 7-day at the most. You know, if you can get a 3 or 4 day, just try that. Just see if is cruising for you first. If you haven't cruised, make sure that you enjoy it. And then, are you okay being alone? So there's different cruise lines. Obviously, the one that I do the most cruising on is NCL because it gives solo rates. It has pricing. And it used to just be on certain rooms and certain things, and now it's like they had on some big ships they have a whole solo cruiser area, but now they've opened it up to every kind of room. There is not one room on this ship that you cannot get a solo rate on, so that's fantastic. They've really gone all in on solo cruising. Okay, I did mention some ships have the whole solo cruiser area, and I've stayed in those, and it's a solo room, so it's like a one bed, small room, no fridge, but it works. It's all you need. If you're just there to sleep basically, and you're going to spend the rest of the time in the public areas, right? You can be in the atrium, which is the lobby, or you can be in one of the lounges, or in the viewing lounge, or walking the deck, or you're only going to be in your room for certain periods of time. So, and the solo lounge, it has its own coffee shop area and meeting room. They have on all ships, not just the ones that has the solo cruiser rooms, but on all NCL ships, they have a solo cruise director, a host, if you will, and they meet every day, usually around 5:00 at night, and the solo cruise guy or lady is there. The solo cruise host is there, and they plan activities. Who wants to go to dinner together? Who wants to do this together? And then you can, so they plan things for you, so you don't have to be outgoing. You can just get invited. But you'll also meet other solo cruisers, and you can talk about excursions, or what are you doing? And maybe, I don't really want to do that one alone, are you interested in that? And you can get a plan together, right? If you're like me, I'm more of I'm an entrepreneur type, so I'm still working, so I don't have a lot of social time. I'm busy with the tours and the ship and work, so I pretty much keep to myself. That's easy to do on a cruise ship, right? I have my books to read, I have my work to do. I'm on a tour most every day. We're in a port, depending on the cruise itinerary. There's some sea days, but it's a lot of ports, so I'm very, on a port day, it's pretty much wake up, breakfast, do the port, come back, do lunch, rest, work, dinner, go to a show, repeat, right? So you're not going to have a lot of empty time when you're a solo cruiser. So you don't have to make friends every day or new friends. You can just enjoy the freedom of being by yourself and doing what you want when you want. That they allow you to do that here. You're not forced to go to the solo meetups. You can go if you want. There's nothing on your tag or anywhere that says you're solo. When what do people think if I'm sitting in the restaurant alone? There's a lot of people sitting alone, and they might be married. Their spouse might be sleeping or resting or out by the pool, or there could be a million things. The one thing I will say that's a little complicated, and I don't do it, is the upgrade, the specialty dining. Now, what the solo cruisers do, and you can meet other solos just in a Facebook group. You don't have to go to the solo meetups. You can just put on there, but if you have, dinners, and it's for two, some people get the with the loyalty points, you get free dinners. So they will mix and match that. They'll be like, hey, you like to do that? Sure. And so then you end up two at a table, and it's not awkward. Even main dining, I mostly do buffet when I'm alone. Honestly, I've gone to the main dining room and just, tables full of people drinking wine and chit chatting and, grouped together. And now you're just solo. I find that to be standing out. And I didn't like that at all. That to me is, if I'm single and in a city, I rarely go out to a nice restaurant and sit by myself. I do find that to be awkward. So honestly, that I find on the tours, on the excursions, no, you're going to be, sometimes you get nobody sitting beside you, but a lot of times the buses are full. You're going to have somebody sitting beside you. You're not going to be sitting alone. Now, who's going to take your picture? If you don't want to do your own selfies, the tour operator, the host, they'll do your photos when you're on excursion. Right? You don't need to worry about that stuff. So that always works great. Now, these tips are for anybody cruising. You need to watch the extra costs, right? Wi-Fi, anywhere $35 to $40 a day and up. So you have to watch that. The specialty dining is $60 per person and up. The drink packages, all that stuff. You need to be aware of what's included, right? Briefly, the buffet, the main dining rooms, the coffee, the juice machines, not pure juice, but juice machines, iced tea machine, that's included, and water. You get all that for free. A lot of cruise lines sell the water package. Well, the water's obviously drinkable upstairs in the buffet, or it wouldn't be there. So I fill my water, I get my ice in my water bottle filled up there for free. I buy any of the water package. That's another one they can get you on. The photo package, if you want a lot of photos, that's great, but you're going to have a lot of your own photos. So for me, I love the embarkation photo. I collect those. I've got one from all my cruises, and I keep my my other free souvenir is that one's not free. The embarkation photos, I think every photo is $30, but this is the my other souvenir, and that's free. That's included. I keep all my cards. Some cruise lines, Celebrity, for example, they don't really get into the photos too much. So it just depends what the cruise line's like. NCL is big on photos, which I like. I always get my embarkation photo. The other thing you can do is, depending on your budget, but they have the Mandara Spa on NCL, and I imagine on Celebrity, I don't remember, but you can get a massage. You can do that kind of thing. They have different areas where you can buy a pass. If you prefer to be even more out of the public, you can buy those kind of passes, and then you get more space, but you are paying per day for that. Myself, I'm busy enough. By the pool there's always a chair or a bench. I just do the free stuff. So the best part about solo cruising, obviously, is the freedom. You don't have to figure out what do you want to do, where you're going to go, what's going to happen. You can just figure out your own thing and do it. You're not voting with a committee. You're voting, one vote wins, and that's your vote. So do what you want, right? That's what I do. I do what I want. I don't worry about what anybody thinks or what they do. Or there is a lot of, on NCL especially, a lot of solo cruisers because of they give you better prices on the cabins, and they have the meetups. And on some cruise lines, you might be the only one. There might be 2 or 3 of you, but on here, out of a couple thousand, you're going to have 300 or 400 at least solos. You'll see them all over the buffets, and up to you if you want to get to know anyone or not. There's meetups, like I said, so you can get to know other solos, or you could just be the lone wolf, do your thing. That's what I do. I'm the lone wolf. I'm busy. I'm not socializing. Some people are more social, and then they can do those meetups and really hang out. One thing about being solo I can tell you is it's very peaceful. Good time to reflect, think about where you're at in life, and where you want to go and where you've been. It's a nice pause, especially depending on if you do the full Wi-Fi or not. If you're just checking your messages when you're on shore and things like that, then you're really taking a break. You're really just having, me time, as they say. So if you're thinking about doing a solo cruise, I'll say this: don't let fear stop. Nothing to be afraid of. Solo cruising can honestly be one of the best experiences you'll ever have.